So let's talk about the properties of a rhombus. Now. We're done with the construction, unless somebody needs me to help them with that construction. Are we okay? Anybody got lost in the construction there? Okay. Remember, we're going to go over your pink sheet once we're done with this. We are going to go over your pink sheet once we're done with this line here. So, since a rhombus is a parallelogram, the following are true. Opposite sides are still parallel. That's not marked in here, so I'm going to mark that. Opposite sides are congruent, but because it's a rhombus, actually, all four sides are congruent, okay? Rhombus is a parallelogram with four congruent sides. Opposite angles are congruent. Consecutive angles are still supplementary, meaning like these two angles add to be 180. You remember what that means with consecutive angles. And the diagonals bisect each other. But unlike a rectangle here, do you see that these markings are different? So this length is the same as this one, but they are not the same as these two like in a rectangle. In a rectangle, all four of those splits are the same. So you don't have isosceles triangles in this like we do with rectangles. Okay, so you got to be really careful. Casey? It's literally a parallelogram with four sides the same. Because it's a more specific parallelogram. It has four congruent sides. That's what makes it a rhombus. No, it has two sets of opposite sides congruent. So, does that make sense? So, diagonals are perpendicular. What does perpendicular mean? Equals a 90-degree angle. So that means that these angles are all 90 degrees. This is the first shape we've had that have diagonals that are perpendicular. And diagonals bisect opposite angles. That means that this angle here is congruent to this angle here, and this angle here, and this angle here. So notice bisecting the angle means cutting it. So this angle here is cut into two equal pieces. But since it's the same as this angle here, these two pieces are also the same as that. So again, this is the first shape we've had that does this too. So that means that this angle and this angle are the same as these two ones that I'm marking in green. Because these two are the same and the diagonal is cut into two equal pieces, that's what bisect means. These pieces are all the same as well. So again, there's a lot of properties to remember among all of these shapes. So we need to make sure that we're separating them. So take out your pink sheet. In a rhombus, are both pairs of opposite sides parallel? Yes, so the first box under rhombus should be shaded in. Is there only one pair of opposite sides parallel? No. Second box should be left blank. Are the diagonals perpendicular for a rhombus? Yes, they are. The third box should be checked, shaded, however you want to do it. Does it say anything about our diagonals being congruent like a rectangle? No, so that one should be left blank. Do the diagonals bisect each other, meaning cut each other into two equal pieces? Yes. So the fifth box should be shaded. Do the diagonals bisect opposite angles? Yes. Yep, that's what we have here. Bisect opposite angles. Cuts those angles into two equal pieces. So the sixth box down should be shaded. Are both pairs of opposite sides congruent? Yes. Yes, they are. If you have something wrong, guys, remember I leave this on my podium so you can check your answers at any point during this unit. So, this thing here that I don't ever use because it's falling apart, so doesn't make sense too. So the seventh box, I think that is, yes, should be shaded. Exactly one pair of opposite sides. Congruent? Nope. All sides are congruent? Yes. So all sides are congruent, which is the eighth box down. Maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. No, ninth box down. The 10th box down says both pairs of opposite angles are congruent. Are both pairs of opposite angles congruent? These are congruent and these are congruent, so that is true. So that is the 6th box from the bottom that should be shaded. Exactly one pair of opposite angles are congruent. Nope. All angles are congruent. Nope, it's not all 90 degrees, so that's not true. Are consecutive angles still supplementary? Yep, so third box from the bottom should be shaded. Each diagonal separates the shape into two congruent triangles. Do these triangles look the same? We can even see they have this angle the same, these sides the same, so they have side angle sides. So yes, second box from the bottom. And opposite angles are supplementary. We don't know that. Okay. So again, I keep this up here. I also have the purple sheet filled out with what we have so far up here as well. So if you guys want to check what you guys are doing as we go ahead and come up here at any point, like at the end of a class or before or after school, and check yourself. Okay, so let's start using these properties. Okay, PRYZ is a rhombus. If RK is 5, RY is 13, and angle YRZ is 67. Find each measure. So I'm just labeling my given information. So this is something you guys are going to have to remember because you're going to have to be using the Pythagorean theorem sometimes. Remember that these are all how many degrees? 90. Do you see this triangle here that's being formed? What can you use if you have a right triangle to find another side? Like, because we're trying to find KY here. How could we find KY if we have a right triangle? So we know that it's a right triangle. So we are going to use the Pythagorean theorem, which is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. You guys have to remember that these diagonals are perpendicular and remember that Pythagorean theorem, okay? Because that's going to be something you guys are going to forget about. So which one of these sides, 5, x, or 13, is my hypotenuse?
X. Wait, no, 13.
Opposite the right angle is 13. So we have 5 squared plus x squared equals 13 squared. And x squared is the same for me as ky. I'm calling ky x right now, just so you're aware. So I have 25 plus x squared equals 169. So x squared equals 144. What's the square root of 144? 12. So ky equals 12. So I know now that this is 12. So then it says, what is the length of PK then? What is the length of PK? What is it?
12.
Yeah, this is congruent to KY. So KY is congruent to PK. So PK is also 12. Okay, YKZ. YKZ.
Wait, I forgot to tell you something.
What?
So yesterday, I wanted to add more.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Onto the worksheet before you printed it. Perfect. That's fine. So YKZ is this angle right here. How many degrees is that angle there? 90. I don't think your voice is ever coming back.
It's because you keep talking.
She hasn't actually talked that much. She mostly makes noise with her cup. You weren't here yesterday. She was really making noise. PZR. Angle PZR is this angle here. So angle PZR, how many degrees is angle PZR? That looks like a 90-degree angle to you?
Yeah, that's a key.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that it's not necessarily drawn to scale, but yeah. We know that they are alternate interior angles. We also know that all 4 of these angles are congruent, right? Because the angle is bisected. So if that's 67, then so is this one, because
Why is it so small? That little diagonal?
I don't know. That's a good question, because we don't think about those things sometimes.
You should make it a little bigger.
YRZ. I agree, because it's hard to see my labels and stuff in it.
Yeah, you're zoomed in really far on your iPad too. Whenever
Well, I always am when I'm writing, because otherwise it's like I write the whole entire screen, and then that's just woo.
What happens if, okay, zoom out all the way and right.
It just gets worse.
Worst.
I know. Don't worry about it. Oh.
Wow, your language is getting worse. English is worse.
I'm sorry. I'm terrible. Is this the slide that's next for you guys? Okay. Quadrilateral DKLM is a rhombus. If DK is 8, DML. Okay, I'm sorry, these are different questions. If DK is 8, what is the length of KL? Kylie, why is it 8?
Because all sides are congruent. I already said it, Greg, I beat you.
No, Greg is such a
Yes, definitely.
So that is 8 because all sides are congruent. Okay, DML is 82 degrees. Find DKM.
82 degrees.
Well, the whole entire thing would be 82 degrees.
Right.
So what is DKM? Just that little green spot. Right. The diagonals bisect each other, or bisect the angles, so each of these little pieces is congruent. So we do.
You know you're from the math teacher when you can divide 82 by 2.
Diagonals bisect the angle. Also, opposite angles are congruent. So that would be 41 degrees. Oh my gosh. This is why I have to buy new rulers so frequently. It's because of this.
I was making a helicopter.
No, I was in business class last year, and I pulled it back like this, and it snapped.
If the measure of angle KAL, if the measure of angle KAL is 2x minus 8, find x. What do we know about the measure of angle KAL? What do you? It is 90. The diagonals are perpendicular. So diagonals are perpendicular. So we know that 2x minus 8, please stop. Diagonals are perpendicular, so that equals 90. That is going to be something you need to remember. So KAL is where the diagonals bisect each other, so it is perpendicular, so we solve that.
So, 40? No. I did not add 45.
You forgot to add 8, Greg. So KAL is where the diagonals meet, right? And we know the diagonals are perpendicular to each other. So they form a 90-degree angle. So that's KAL is 90 degrees. So that's why. Does that make sense? That's why I'm trying to write like the reasons why here. So when you go to do your homework tonight, you know why I set it equal to 90 and stuff like that. Obviously, if it doesn't say to do that in the homework, you don't have to do that. Okay, guys, please stop talking. Ian, Greg, guys.
We weren't actually talking then.
That time. Whatever. Okay, stop. Just stop. DA. Stop it.
Thank you.
DA is 4x. And AL is 5x minus 3. What do you know about those diagonals there? Those two pieces.
They're the same.
They're the same because the diagonals bisect each other, right? Mm-hmm. So diagonals bisect each other. I apologize. But it doesn't say to find x, it says to find dl. dl is the total length. So that means that dl is the same as adding up both those pieces, 4x plus 5x minus 3, right? What can we sub in for x? Okay, finally, dm is 5y plus 2, and dk is not 8 anymore. It is 3y plus 6, and what do you know, Greg?
They're congruent.
All sides are congruent. So 5y plus 2 equals 3y plus 6.
It's 2y.
Did I do something wrong? Is that what you're saying? Or are you telling me the answer already?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were saying I wrote
I got it
something wrong.
first. I got it first.
I'm already dunking.
No, that's fine. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't writing something wrong. So, if we want to find the length of KL, does it matter if we put it in for 5y plus 2 or 3y plus 6? No. So I'm going to say KL is the same as 5y plus 2. And I'm going to substitute in 2. And that is 12. Okay. One more slide, right? Okay, given the following rhombus, find the missing information. So we need the measure of angle 1, the measure of angle 2, the measure of angle 3, and the measure of angle 4. Raise your hand and tell me which angle you want to find. Casey? Yeah. And then start looking at that, maybe start filling it in with what you know.
65.
How did you get 65 for one of them? But they both end in 0. That's not even like possible. Oh,
What is it?
Triangles equal 180 at times.
yeah, so 50 plus 90 would not allow you to have something with a 5 at the end.
But 180 minus 50.
Are you okay now? All right,
180.
raise your hand and tell me one of the angle measures. Hunter.
1 is.
Angle 1 is 90. We know all of these angles are 90 degrees.
No.
Cameron, give me another one.
It's 65. No, it's not. I did the math.
For measure of angle 2 is 50. For 2 reasons. These 2 angles are alternate interior because these lines are parallel. Also, we know that the diagonals bisect the angles, so all 4 of these angles are congruent, right? So that's another reason. So what's the measure of angle 3 then?
40.
How many degrees are in a triangle?
I did the 180 minus 50 and then divided by 2.
What is
Why are you dividing it by 2 though, Greg?
So there's 3 sides, so you have to find 2 sides.
We already know 2 of the angles for angle 4.
Oh, because it's 90. Oh, so
Oh,
90
that makes sense. I was trying to figure out how you were getting that. Do you understand that now?
Yeah.
Okay, I was really lost at how you were even getting there, and now I'm glad I have an insight into what you were thinking. All right.